No matter where you're at in the school year, I guarantee things aren't going exactly as you hoped they would when you first started this year. You know, students always come in, their behavior is great. First few days, they're quiet, they're listening, whatever they're doing, but the behavior issues aren't there. But as the days turn into weeks, as the weeks turn into month, man, sometimes things just start falling apart. So the question is, how do you bring it back? The question is, how do you change student behavior? How do you get those rules and routines back in place? And the answer is, pick one thing and start with that. Now that one thing depends upon you. What is that one thing that you really think you need to change? Or maybe you take the low-hanging fruit, the smallest thing, and start changing that. Or maybe look at a big problem and break it down. Whatever it is, focus on one thing and then work on that day in, day out. And my belief is that usually you'll start seeing behavior changes within 3 weeks. Within 3 weeks, my belief is you can turn a class around. Now, what you don't do is get in front of that class and make a big deal about it. Say, all right, class, you know, this past 3 months did not go like we wanted to, and you guys were behaving badly, and so as of now, here's what we're going to do. Don't do that. That gets you nowhere. It sets the stage wrong. It first of all, you basically express to the students that you lost control of the class. Don't do that, okay? What you want to do is you just want to put a strategy in place, and you know what you want to work on. So for example, let's say that you want to start with the students working as soon as they get into class. Right? That's always something I usually recommend, is focus on that. Have something for students to do when they first get into class. So no matter where you're at in the school year, if you do not have that, spend a few days doing that. That doesn't mean you have to give up all the stuff that you're learning. It doesn't have to mean you have to not focus on those standards you're required to do. What it means is just put into place maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes every time when students come into class, that procedure. Now, here's the thing. You gotta be consistent. Whatever you think you want to put in place, stick with it. Stick with it, right? You're gonna get resistance at first. You're gonna have issues at first. But if you put it into play, first day, second day, third day, fourth, and you keep with it, that eventually is gonna take hold. So pick one thing and focus on that. And when you have that one thing down, layer it, put something else on. Maybe you want to focus on what happens at the end of the class, the closing 5 minutes. You know, how do you end a class period? Put something in place for that, a routine, policy, procedure, whatever you want to call it, put it in place and then focus on that. And when you start building these layers, they start going on top of each other, and before you know it, the class starts to turn around. Students respond not to yelling. Students respond not to you giving a big speech. Students respond not necessarily to detention. I mean, they do respond to all those things, but the biggest thing that you get the biggest reaction from, the biggest thing buy-in you're getting from students is if you are consistent. That is it. Consistent. See it all the way through. And do not bite off more than you can chew. If you got a big problem, don't tackle it all at once. Break it down to smaller elements and start incorporating those. And once again, my belief is if it's done properly, you can change a class around. You can change the environment of the class around in about 3 weeks.